Right now, somewhere on Earth, someone is praying. They are speaking to something they cannot see, and they are certain it is listening. You might do this too, or you might not, but your brain is built for it, either way. Here is the strange part. The reflex to sense an invisible mind watching over you is older than the wheel, older than writing, older than the farm that grows your food. Long before your ancestors ever planted a single seed, they were already building temples to gods. That order feels backwards. We are taught that civilization came first, that people settled down, grew crops, built cities, got comfortable, and then, with spare time on their hands, invented religion, a luxury for a species that had already solved survival. But the real answer is far stranger. Religion did not come after civilization. Religion may have built it. To see why, you have to go to a hill in southern Turkey. Its name is Göbekli Tepe. In the 1990s, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt began digging there, and what he found rewrote the timeline of the human story. Massive stone pillars, some as tall as 3 men, carved with foxes and scorpions and vultures, arranged in careful rings. A monument, a place of gathering, of ritual. Now here is the detail that broke the old story. Göbekli Tepe is around 11,000 years old. It was built by hunter-gatherers, people with no pottery, no metal, no writing, and crucially, no agriculture. These were nomads who moved with the seasons, and yet they somehow organized hundreds of people to quarry, carve, and haul multi-ton stones into place. They did this before they farmed. They did this before they even settled down. Sit with that. The single most demanding construction project of its era was not a granary. It was not a fortress. It was a sacred site. Whatever pulled those people together, it was not the need to store food. It was the need to gather around something larger than themselves. So why? Why would a brain that struggles to find enough to eat spend its precious energy on invisible beings? The answer begins with a glitch. A beautiful, useful glitch in how your mind reads the world. Imagine you are your ancestor, walking through tall grass on the savannah. You hear a rustle behind you. You have 2 options. You can assume it is the wind, or you can assume it is a lion. If you assume wind and you are right, you saved a little energy. If you assume wind and you are wrong, you are dead. But if you assume lion and you are wrong, you only lose a moment of fear. You flinch, you turn, you feel silly, you move on. The math is brutal and clear. The brain that assumed a mind behind the rustle survived. The brain that assumed nothing got eaten. Over millions of years, evolution kept the jumpy, overcautious brains. It kept yours. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it a hyperactive agency detection device. Your mind is a machine built to see intention everywhere, because seeing intention that is not there costs almost nothing, and missing intention that is there costs everything. The anthropologist Stuart Guthrie argued that this is the seed of all religion. A mind tuned to detect other minds will start to sense minds in the thunder, in the river, in the dark. It will feel watched even when it is alone. You still have this. When a shadow moves at the edge of your vision, you feel a presence before you feel a fact. When the wind slams a door, some ancient part of you asks, who did that? Your brain hands you a person before it hands you physics. But detecting invisible minds is only half the story, because a mind alone is not a god. A god is a mind that watches you and judges you. This is where the psychologist Aaron Zion enters. He studied what happens when people believe they are being observed by a watchful, moralizing God. And the results are striking. People who feel watched behave better. They cheat less. They share more. They cooperate with strangers they will never see again. Think about what that means for a growing group. When your ancestors lived in small bands, everyone knew everyone. If you stole, if you lied, if you shirked your share of the hunt, you were caught, and the group punished you. Reputation was the police force, but that only works up to a point. Once a group grows past a certain size, you cannot know everyone. You are surrounded by strangers, and strangers are hard to trust. So how do you build trust between people who do not know each other? You invent a watcher who knows everyone, a god who sees the theft no human witnessed, A God who counts the lie told in an empty room. Suddenly, everyone is being watched all the time, even when no person is present. And a watched population is a cooperative population. Neuroscience called these big gods, and his argument is that big gods and big societies grew up together, each one making the other possible. The God made strangers trustworthy. Trustworthy strangers made cities. Cities made bigger gods. The wheel turned, and it turned faster than any farm ever could. Do you see what has quietly happened here? Religion stopped being a byproduct of civilization. It became the glue that held civilization together, before civilization even existed. Now go back to that hill in Turkey, back to Göbekli Tepe. There is a theory, and Klaus Schmidt himself leaned toward it, that has a haunting shape. The gathering came first. People traveled from far away to worship at this site. And to feed the crowds who came, someone needed a steady, reliable supply of food in one place. Some of the earliest domesticated wheat on Earth has been traced to a mountain range, just a short walk from Göbekli Tepe. Read that again. The birth of farming may have happened right next door to one of humanity's first temples. The implication is almost too large to hold. It suggests that we did not build gods because we had farms. We may have built farms because we had gods. The desire to gather, to worship, to feed the faithful, may have been the very thing that chained us to the soil. Religion did not follow the harvest. Religion may have planted it. This flips the entire story of who we are. For centuries, the assumption ran one way. First we secured our bodies, then we indulged our souls. First bread, then belief. But the stones at Göbekli Tepe whisper the opposite. First belief, then bread. Why does your brain do this? Why is it so willing, so eager, to hand its trust to something it cannot prove? Part of the answer is that belief is not a decision you make. It is a feeling that arrives. The cognitive scientist Justin Barrett showed that even young children, with no formal teaching, naturally assumed the world was made on purpose, by someone, for a reason. Ask a child why the rock is pointy, and they will not say erosion. They will say so animals could scratch on it. The mind reaches for intention the way a hand reaches for a railing. Automatically. The forethought. You are not a blank slate that religion is written onto. You are a slate already tilted toward it. The tilt was there before you learned a single word. And this same machinery runs quietly through your modern life. Wearing new clothes, you feel watched when a camera is pointed at you. And you sit up straighter. You feel a presence in an empty house, and your heart races before you can explain why. You talk to a car that will not start, scold a computer that freezes, thank a plane for landing safely. You know these things have no minds. Your ancient wiring does not care what you know. Even people who believe in nothing sacred still feel the pull. The sense that the universe should be fair. The feeling that someone, somewhere, is keeping score. The quiet hope that you are not truly alone in the dark. That is not a lesson you were taught. That is a machine that was running in your skull long before anyone told you what to call it. Here is the final term. The instinct that made your ancestors carve gods into stone is the same instinct that makes you feel a stranger is trustworthy. That makes you keep a promise no one is enforcing. That makes you cooperate with a world full of people you will never meet. The watcher your ancestors invented never left. It simply became conscience. So the next time you feel that faint sense of being seen when no one is there, do not be so quick to dismiss it. That feeling is older than the wheel, older than writing, older than the farm that grows your food. It is the oldest software your species ever ran, and it is still running now, in you. Right now, somewhere on Earth, someone is praying. And whether or not anyone is listening, one thing is certain. The mind that reaches out into the silence, hoping to be heard, is the same mind that once reached out to strangers and built the entire human world.